Hi, Chris Conroy here, Executive Vice President with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. I'm pleased to be joined here with Misha Korkinoff, our cybersecurity expert. Hey, welcome, Misha.
Hi, Chris. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
So we're pleased to have part 2 of our CyberSense series, which we're providing for all the financial advisors out there, to talk about the risks associated with cybersecurity, which is an ongoing, continuing issue we all have to deal with. Our goal here at IAMS is always to advocate for you, provide you great education and some solutions for both you and your clients to protect you. So we know this is a big issue. I think last we checked, there was like over 1 billion people who've had a cyber breach in the last 12 months. And what do you do to protect yourself? So I think we get that question a lot from agents. So we thought it was important to go ahead and do a series. We did part 1 last week, great kickoff. We're going to get in today to talk a little bit about best practices, some real world cases. So Misha's going to cover a lot of that. I'll have a few questions and we'll pop in along the way. But let's kick off. And first of all, I want to start and go a little bit. I know a lot of you I see on there may not have necessarily done business with us, may not know a lot about IAMS or what we stand for, how we help agents out in the field. As one of the leading national IMOs out there, we're really about sticking up for you and serving the independent agent. So we know part of that is to provide great service, products, solutions, ideas, strategies, marketing. It's also to protect you. So that's why we're talking about today, advocating for you on protecting yourself with cyber. Let's go through a couple things that we offer here, though, just so you have a familiarity with IAMS and what we provide. So we are very digital forward, and you'll see there, here's a sample of some of the EAP solutions that we have. Luma is one that we brought on board where we can really literally take a look at your entire book of business of what you've done and look for opportunities where it makes sense for the customers to get into a better product. So that's a great partnership we developed last year. Firelight, which most of our producers use, iPipeline on the life side, Sunfire, and a lot of other technologies to just make it easier for you. Creative services is a big part of what we do here at IAMS, which is really helping you, the financial advisor, get in front of more people, stay in front of more people, and be top of mind for your customers. So whether it's traditional type of things like logos or business cards, through the full suite of digital solutions, social media, and other campaigns that we can do to help you. And you may not have the expertise, so let us be your experts. You can put us on your staff and not your payroll, because a lot of this can be paid for through the programs that we have here at IAMS. Here's a sample of a couple of these tools. One thing that we'd encourage everyone to do, and we've done this literally with hundreds of our producers, is do an in-depth market analysis. And so what is that? Really, it's taking a look at what are you doing now, what's working, what is your return on investment, what are the things that make sense for you given your particular business and what kind of customers are you going to get in front of, and developing a cohesive, full-blown marketing strategy so that you can be successful and get in front of customers, stay in front of customers, and be most effective in getting your brand out to marketplace. So let us do that for you. It's free. Use us as an expert consultant and take, many of our 30 to 40 different solutions and put together a plan for you so that you can grow your business. IAMS Wealth, we have a sister company who's an SEC registered investment advisor. So if you're a advisor, Series 65, or you're looking to potentially become one, give us a call. This is a great way to become a holistic advisor and really serve your client on an assets under management basis and an insurance basis. So I know that's a growing segment of the total. We're pleased to have that sister company, IAMS Wealth, who can really help you and cement your relationships with your client. Our Life and Annuity Academy, so something we've been doing over 20 years here. We've already done our first one this year in partnership with the theme. We have another one coming up, June 4, 5, and 6 is the next one. This is an intensive producer training we do here in Omaha. So we got a great opportunity, to meet you all face to face, bring you in. We cover the costs, and you get to hear from top multi-million-dollar producers, top carriers. We have 2 that'll be here in our June Academy, including Silac and August Star. Their lineup of great products, great sales ideas, technology, marketing partners, branding, and hearing from really leaders in the industry to take your business to the next level. So if you're interested, give us a buzz here, 800-255-5055, and we can talk to you about what that program looks like. But again, if you qualify for that, it's really a great opportunity to take your business to the next level. We will be closing down registrations for that June 4, 5, 6 event pretty soon. So give us a buzz and we can talk about whether that's a good fit for you. We got great incentive opportunities. So we like to recognize our best producers, people who qualify. And these are really modest qualifications over the course of 18 months, 5 billion points. The next one upcoming is in Quebec City. It'll be a great thing at the Chateau Frontenac, Fairmont there, iconic hotel in downtown Quebec, August 3 to 8. So if you'd like more information about that, give us a call. Still not too late to qualify. We will complete that and start the next qualification right after that period ends. We have a great social media presence. So you've probably seen us on Facebook, LinkedIn. We encourage you to like and follow us and check out our website, imsinc.com. Get registered. If you got any questions, just call in here. Anyone's going to answer. We're committed to, if you know us or you don't know us, we're committed to a 2-ring guarantee. Literally, you're going to get answered in 2 rings by a live person, no extensions, no voicemails, unlike any other IMO in the industry. So we're committed to providing outstanding service to you with live personal contact. So let's get into, Misha, part 2 is threats facing agents, best practice. I know the first one last week was great to introduce kind of the topic of cybersecurity, why it matters. We got thousands of independent agents out there. They are within, think of all the data and personal client information and protecting themselves. So we're going to talk a little bit more today. I know you're going to lead us in a conversation about what are some of the things that independent agents are doing, what are some best practices. We'll talk about some case studies too, and that'll help provide a guidance. And stick around. We have some great solutions and tools for you, not just best practices. For example, the partnership with TransUnion to provide a 68% discount for credit monitoring. But over to you, Misha.
All right, thank you, Chris. I know we've talked about it last webinar, last session. We're gonna go a little bit deeper into threats facing agents, and as well as that, we're gonna walk you through best practices and some real world cases. Let's start with the cybersecurity and the simple question, why it matters. Again, this is not a necessity. This is not a luxury, that's a necessity. Independent agents handle a lot of financial and sensitive information, and hackers like to target that data. So, in today's world, a single weak password or outdated device or a unsuspecting employee can open the door to your assets. And the insurance sector is especially vulnerable due to amount of sensitive data in it. Just a quick fact that in 2024, cybercrime cost approximately $9.5 trillion. And if we put it in perspective, it would have been number 3 economy in the world after China and US. And we're gonna start with phishing and social engineering. And phishing attacks are most common in today's world because they rely on trust and urgency, like a call from your bank or your agent or your boss. And it also goes way beyond the email. Social engineering, impersonation, or even SMS attack. The goal is to trick someone into giving away credentials. Here's a quick case study from American Family Insurance. In 2024, they had a phishing attack that stopped their systems for a couple of days. And these attacks were aiming to steal social security numbers of the consumers. Yes, it's a big company, but it's a quick example of how even a big company can be unprepared and get under attack. How do you prevent phishing? You're gonna use MFA, which is a multi-factor authentication. It is simple as password, your login, and then something again, like a PIN or password, something you have like a phone or a security token and something you can get access to. Here, we're gonna launch a quick pop-up question for you, and it's gonna say, how do you use a MFA on all of your systems?
Yeah, so that's a good one. I know we've rolled that out, but multi-factor authentication, which is kind of annoying, I know. At first, is you get the text or you got to go to authenticator, is a huge, huge deal. I mean, it's a great protection. We know that talking to our IT firm that we work with, but I guess the question we're asking is this something that you use maybe even across the board? I mean, if you're not doing that across the board, I would say that's a pretty big risk, right? So it looks like, maybe half the people use it on all, but some of them haven't yet. They're looking to implement it. So that's clearly one that's a big one, right? A best practice.
Yes. A couple of other advices on phishing. Try to run phishing simulations and maybe use email authentication like DMARC, SPF, or DKIM. We're gonna move to the next threat, and it's gonna.
And that's and I know, Misha, like we here have what's called Authenticator.
Yeah.
So it's an Authenticator app that you put on your cell phone. It's kind of like getting a text, but it sounds like that might be even better than using just like the text code. So that'd be another thing probably. If you hear the word Authenticator, that's a real thing. Probably a good idea if you're not doing that yet.
Yes. And now let's talk about ransom and malware. And ransom usually can halt operations and cost millions. It often go through phishing email or fake browser updates. It encrypts your files and then demands payment. Malware is also used to spy on user activity or steal credentials, as well as open backdoors to your systems. In 2023, CNA Financial, it's one of the biggest US insurance, paid 40 million ransom. Attackers were able to gain the access to the systems through a fake browser update, and they encrypted over 15,000 systems and disabled security tools before demanding a $60 million payment. CNA ended up paying 40, and it's one of the largest known ransom attacks in the US.
And that's, you think about it, that's a lot of money. So if you were the insurance company, they must have thought it was pretty important to get back access if they wanted to pay 40 million, right?
Yeah, and
so that's some real money, and we'll talk about. I mean, even that, maybe got them back access, but they still had to do all the other things like notice.
Yeah,
and everything.
And I know that the insurance sector, it's really important to be on the phone every day and have access to your systems, because every minute is basically finances. Here's how you would prevent yourself from getting in that situation. Don't forget to patch your systems regularly. If you know about a patch, don't wait a while to get it fixed. Use next generation anti-malware tools to help you detect any suspicious activity on your systems, and they're gonna flag it for your further investigation. And then, of course, don't forget to back up your data frequently, because it helps you in case of your data being encrypted. It helps you gain back the access to it and stay alive. Here's a quick question for you.
How often they back it up?
Yeah.
And I know some of the people out there, you might be with a broker dealer or advisory firm, and you might have a system that backs it up. Go ahead if you want to launch it. And some may not. I mean, some may have their own homegrown thing, or like an Excel sheet or CRM. The risk, I think, is that either everything crashes, there's a system crash, or it actually gets hacked and it's gone, or it's encrypted. And if you don't have it backed up regularly, you don't have a way to just recreate what you had, and of course it's costly to do that. So just looking like maybe 2/3 of you are backing up daily, so that's good, and maybe a third of you are not backing up at all. So the risk is, if you're not backing up, is what do you do with your customers if tomorrow you couldn't find out who they were?
Yeah.
And you don't have paper copies.
Yeah,
so,
and I think it's a good idea to have a hard drive where you could upload your data, and then it's not on your system, it's somewhere stored safely, and then you can always gain access back, plug it into your computer, get all the information, and keep working while you are figuring out the problems with the breach.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest asset of our financial advisors are their customers, right? And
Yeah.
the goodwill that they've developed. So, I mean, literally, if you were down and you had to recreate it from scratch and you don't know who the people are, you've just lost your reputation. So, good way to protect yourself is to make sure you have a backup.
Yep. The data breaches are also one of the threats that facing agents nowadays. And usually data breach is confidential data being leaked or stolen. This could mean like leaked emails, social security numbers, or your full credentials. Breaches can happen via hacked systems, lost devices, or weak networks. Beyond fines, there's also reputational damage. Nationwide Insurance experienced a breach in 2012 and exposed the data of 1.27 million people. It occurred because company failed to apply basic security patch. They paid $5.5 million in settlement and to rework their entire cybersecurity approach. Here's how you can prevent it, just by using access control authentication. You gotta monitor for unusual access, keep your systems patched, and limit unnecessary data. Talking about unnecessary data, how long do you all keep your emails?
So this is a good one. I know we as a firm, and now we have 70 employees, so we got a little different scope. Some of you might be one person shop, you might have, an agency, that kind of thing. So it can vary, but we got this polling question about how long you keep your emails. I know there's some best practices about not retaining them because really that's kind of risk. You think about that's all data. A lot of your email is going to have personal information, and the more you have, the more that could be hacked, which means, really, unless you need it, don't keep it.
Yeah.
So we have a relatively short period to retain. And again, I mean, you may have obligations if you're with a broker dealer, et cetera, or you may have reporting obligations for suitability and so forth. And there's a way to store that, but the idea of like keeping everything is really not a great idea. It looks like a lot of people actually maybe keep it 1 to 3 years, or half of you doing never delete it.
Yeah.
And so, the never delete is the risk is if there was a breach, you literally having to look through like everything.
Yes.
And that's probably not what you need to do from a business perspective. Again, we encourage you to keep what you need and have a process to, like we have here at IMS, where we say, well, yeah, you keep what you need, but for business purposes, regulatory. But if you don't need it, don't keep it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
So here are some best practices for you to follow, and first of them is access control authentication. Don't forget to use multi-factor. It's an extra layer of security. Again, as I said, it's something that has to prove that it's you trying to access the system. Another thing is try to use role-based access permissions. Ensure that only employees that need to have access to the information have it. And it's more for agents that have an agency, maybe working, a couple of people working for them. Don't forget to use it. It really helps preventing unnecessary people gaining an access to your data. Don't forget to use data encryption, sending emails. There's a lot of things like Dropbox or Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. Those things provide you secure file sharing. Don't forget to use encryption at rest and in transit, and make sure that the applications that you're using to transfer data using TLS or EAS encryption standards. And don't forget to set your settings properly. Access limits, time expiration, and audit trails are essential.
Yeah, and those are, there's a lot there. Those are, if you have like an IT department or you have an outside consultant, I would encourage you to talk to them about what those, what they're doing. We have, if you want to get in the weeds more, I'm sure you can call here and talk to Misha and others about like, well, what does this all mean? But the key point there is just make sure that you're doing everything you can to protect yourself from, you don't need to give, more access than you really need. And if it is data that has personal information, which a lot of us have, is that you have it in an encrypted fashion. So you're protecting it so it doesn't find its way to the bad, fraudsters.
Insurance agents often work remotely, and laptops, phones, and tablets must be secure. Use strong passwords, keep your devices updated, and avoid unsecure networks. If you're accessing client data outside the office, make sure to use a VPN to keep traffic encrypted. Disable your Bluetooth and public Wi-Fi when not needed. A VPN or a virtual private network is another extra layer of security. It's basically like a tunnel between your device and the internet that keeps hackers, advertisers, and even your IT provider away from your information and what you're doing. Simply, a VPN keeps you anonymous and safe when you're browsing online. Here's another question for you. Have you ever used a VPN?
Yeah, so I know VPN, a virtual private network, I wasn't as familiar with. So I know if I work remote, that's what I do, where I take my laptop and I think some people do that. Others may not use actually a secure VPN. And so it looks like there's some do, maybe a third regularly, some do occasionally. So there's a mix of answers there. If you're not sure what that means, that's another one where we can probably give you a little more information about VPN. But that's a really important step. I know a lot of times we found when we were preparing our regulatory process, they ask questions like, "Do you always require VPNs?" And you need to do that. I mean, that's a safeguard that's really important.
Let's talk about your vendors, because it's actually another important topic that is following insurance agents, and you got to make sure that your vendors are responsible, because it is your responsibility to make sure that they are safe. If a marketing agency, IT provider, or document processor has access to client data, the breach can become your liability. You must assess their security protocols and ensure that they encrypt info and limit what they have access to. Here's a case where in 2020, 650,000 insurance customers' data was compromised because one of the Medicaid members' laptops was stolen. It wasn't encrypted. The vendor was QuickWorks, and they were handling patients' transfer. Names, social securities, and ID numbers were linked to one lost laptop. It means that a lot of data was compromised and a lot of people were affected by it. Here's how you're gonna manage your third-party vendor risk. You gotta ensure that they have their devices encrypted, and that they have cybersecurity clauses in the contract, that they conduct regular vendor audits. It's actually more for you. Make sure that they have a proper security plan, that they follow it, that they are not sloppy about their cybersecurity part and their technologies, because it is a really big risk on you.
And that's one I know, Misha, like we hear, we have a lot of third-party vendors. All the partners that we work with, technology, where we rely on them to manage data, push data, Firelight and Luma and all these other things. So we've done due diligence around each of those parties and have held them accountable to certain standards. So you, as whether you're one person or an agency owner, the point here is, I'm sure you all rely upon some third party, whether it's a CRM provider, whoever it might be, that maintains personal information in particular. So you think of client financial information, health information. So the idea is, like, you should be asking due diligence questions, making sure that they're taking the safeguards, because ultimately that liability could come back on you, and it also could blow your reputation, in the industry, which is really your goodwill, is what your value is.
What to do to be prepared for an incident? First of all, you have to create a plan. You have to define who's going to be responsible and for what. You have to learn how to isolate your affected systems, how to secure your backups, and how you're gonna notify the clients. Best practice is to create a plan and make sure that you're updating it when some significant changes happen to your systems, and don't forget to test it. Not occasionally, it has to be regularly, not just once a year and forget about it. Stay on top of it.
Yeah, I know that instant response, it's kind of like, hey, break in case of fire, glass, get this fire extinguisher out. The idea is to have a plan before the fire happens. So you know what to do, because time is of the essence. If you got somebody who's into your system, or you need to notify regulators, you need to stop, the bleeding, so to speak. And the whole idea is like, have a game plan. And that's another thing, it needs to be a little bit customized to what your practice is. Actually, if you have any questions, you can probably call us. We'll give you some pointers. There's some great resources out the internet that we can also direct you to. But having what's called IRP, Instant Response Plan, in some states is required, right? We know that. And you very well could get audited, but it's also just, you need to have a plan, because you hope you never need to use it. But if you do, you're not running around crazy. You got actually a game plan to handle the crisis.
Again, if the breach occurs, just don't panic. Contain the issue of isolating systems, affected systems. Begin investigating and document what happened. Notify your internal leadership, or maybe clients, vendors, and law enforcement if needed. Transparency and fast action is going to help you to rebuild the trust. And here's another question for you. Have you guys ever experienced a phishing attack or a successful breach?
So some people, you probably inadvertently clicked on the phishing. I probably done that at some point. So I'm probably yes. Hopefully it didn't cause any damage. Some have actually had attacks, and maybe they didn't encrypt, but it was a massive disruption. Some of you probably don't even know. I mean, it could be you clicked on phishing, you don't even know. Maybe you have something in your system today. So it looks like some of you think maybe not, and some of you don't really know. So that's not surprising. The idea is breaches happen all the time. We know that, what was it, over 1 billion people in the last 12 months have had their data breached. You may not have known it. You probably got some little notice in the mail. I mean, you think of all the different parties that have had breaches, Social Security Administration included. There's a good chance that you and your clients probably had a breach, and that's partly we're going to talk about. Okay, well, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. What can you do about it?
Yeah, and here's why I want to mention our TransUnion discount that we offer, is because it helps you not with just credit monitoring. It also helps you with finding out whether your data is in a dark web or not. It does all the monitoring for you and notifies you when needed, when any information, your name pops up, or your credentials, or and stuff like that. That's why I encourage you to talk to us about it more if you're interested. Again, the most important part, you're not gonna know any tactics and how to prevent it or best practices unless you go through training. Human error is mostly behind all of the breaches that happen, because unaware employee clicks on a link and then there is an access to your systems was gained, and you might never know that it happened if you have proper tools and monitoring in place. You got to do training not just once, but regularly. Also, don't forget to adjust it for your employees' needs or your needs, because every training has to be specific. If you have employees, reward them for reporting suspicious activity, and encourage this mindset: security first. No shame for mistakes. Client education is also important, and we have a best practices guide that Chris can talk about.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we know a lot of the financial advisors, we're giving you this information and best practices. We hear a lot of you also say, well, what can I take to my clients? So a lot of you are working with, people in retirement, planning for retirement. So, it might be 50 to 75, older even people. And a lot of those people are vulnerable targets, because they tend to have money. They tend to kind of engage with, these kinds of things, and, they're susceptible. So we created this essentially best practices piece that we can make available to you. So this is something you could literally give point of sale. A lot of these came straight from like AARP and industry leading, steps like protect your accounts and a lot of things we're talking about today. Have secure Wi-Fi connections. These are all the kind of things that I think, if you were at point of sale, say, hey, look, I want to make sure, I'm here to plan for your retirement, but I want to make sure you have it and you keep it, and that, you're not susceptible to a lot of these scams, and they are vulnerable. So these are some great things. We can give you this piece. If you want to co-brand it with your name or your name, that's fine. But it's about giving your customers some guidance about, what is legitimate, what are some best practices. A lot of what we're talking about today are great ideas, and then, they're susceptible to a lot of like fake insurance scams and other offers. So if you're interested in that, that's another thing. You can just reach out, and we'll make sure we can get you that collateral, because I think that's great. Preview, we talked about the TransUnion 68% discount credit monitoring that you can get through IMES and our partnership. We can make that available for any of your clients as well. So that's an excellent step. Really, for the cost of it is, I don't know, a little over $100 a year is kind of an easy decision. Even some agents might even pay for that for their clients, which is really a good way to protect them. And it's from one of the largest, credit reporting agencies in the world, TransUnion.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea if your clients are aware on how to spot scams. You probably can send some security tips quarterly. Make sure you explain to them how to confirm that you are communicating with them. This will reduce the risk of fraud and will also strengthen your relationship with clients.
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, you think about it, it's just like us. Well, we're advocating for you. You're advocating for your clients, and it also helps differentiate you, I think, probably from some of the other advisors out there, is that you care enough that you want to protect them and their families. Actually, some of these plans you can make available on a family basis, very reasonable. And again, we did this because, we're buying essentially a group rate for you, which you and all of your clients. This is an easy decision. I would tell you it's worth doing that. Part 3, what do we got coming up?
Well, looking ahead, we're going to talk about cyber liability insurance, some of the secure software recommendations. We're going to talk about password managers, and we're going to talk about some regulatory checklist to make sure you're staying compliant and confident and strong about your cybersecurity posture.
Yeah, that's, I mean, a great piece. Thanks, Misha. Cyber liability insurance is another thing. Probably if you check, your E&O insurance doesn't provide, it's probably specifically carves out cyber. So if there was an event, I can tell you it costs lots of money to investigate, handle it, what you know what to do, you got exposure. You can buy cyber liability insurance very cheap, actually, through that partnership with TransUnion. So we'll cover that. I know that's a great kind of easy decision. And it just gets you prepared for the future. I mean, this isn't like a cyber, risk is something that continues to get more complicated, right?
Yeah.
Especially with AI.
Yeah.
And so this isn't going away. And if you can get ahead of it a bit, so, you're less risk and your clients are less risk, that just makes you that much more valuable. So final comments?
Yeah, thank you for attending today's webinar. Cybersecurity isn't an IT task, it's a business critical responsibility. And again, you don't need to be an expert, but you have to stay informed and proactive. And so let's stay safe together.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.